using deep learning to forecast stock market volatility via news headlines and social media sentiment analysis. So many investors and traders are actually interested in stock trends as they can adjust their strategies to make profits. While there's extensive research, many studies have neglected the importance of using social media data, which is increasingly becoming important. In 2021, about $1.2 billion were invested in fintech companies specializing in sentiment analysis and stock market prediction. Accurately predicting stock market volatility is still challenging. There's no definite solution, but some important approaches are statistical models, machine learning models, and deep learning models, which our project is going to be on. So the baseline for this paper, you use Sentiment 140, which is a large data set with positive and negative tweets. The models that they used was SVM logistic regression decision trees, SVM being the best performing model, which was used to predict the sentiment for Apple tweets that were scraped in 2016. And then that also was used with the closing price from Yahoo Finance in order to predict the stock price with boosted regression trees.
Okay, so why only Apple? So let's compare both small and large cap stocks. Sentiment analysis can obviously have a greater impact on small cap stocks as they are typically less well known and they have fewer analysts covering them. So the time period we considered was COVID 2020 to 2022 for the small cap and the large cap. Moving on, we narrowed it down to two stocks. One is AMC, the small cap stock, and the Zoom, the large cap stock. So for AMC, during COVID, it was driven mostly by Reddit and Twitter hype, but has since fallen back down. And after COVID, it remains volatile and sensitive to news and social media sentiment due to the ongoing pandemic concerns. For Zoom, which is a large cap stock, due to remote work and online learning, it became very widespread during COVID. And then after COVID, the price dropped, but it remains high post-COVID because of the continued use of video conferencing. So coming to our data set, we used Webull to scrape news headlines, data from various sources like Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, Benzinga, and a lot more. Then we used Suite to scrape Twitter data from only Twitter. And then we used a tool called PRaw to scrape Reddit data from various subreddits like stock market, Wall Street bets, Forex, and a lot more. So coming to our model, we used trained data from 2020 to 2021, and then we built on the news data by adding Twitter and Reddit because of the social media impact. And then we used Vader to predict the sentiment score for each of the three data sets. We paired it with Yahoo Finance data using the stock price, and then trained an LSTM model to predict the stock prices for the test data, which was 2022 data.
Okay, moving forward, let's take a deep dive in the sentiment analysis for the Zoom stocks. As we can see, the most frequent words in all three data sets here are quite similar, but also somewhat different depending on the source that they are obtained from, along with the variations over time in the next page. The sentiment analysis across the three data sets over time show how dependent they are on the user sentiment. That's why there is least variation in news, most in Twitter and somewhere in between for Reddit, but all of them are polar towards the positive sentiment as it should be due to increased use of Zoom during and after COVID times. Results after running the model on these data sets show that just the news headline performed well, but might not be enough to capture every aspect of the stock variation, which is captured quite well in the news and Twitter combination because a lot of people talked about the news Zoom trend during COVID on Twitter and shared how they felt about it. The similar trend was expected in Reddit, but it's not as effective due to the limitations like specific subreddits used for data extraction.
Here's the evaluation metrics about our project, and from R-squared values, models cannot explain much of the variability, but our news plus Twitter data is the best performing model compared to others. To conclude, if we go to the next page, our models are not generalizable post-pandemic due to COVID impact, and also volatility and noise in the sentiment data during pandemic also may affect the model accuracy. To improve, we can gain insights from informed analysts and on the market impacts and deep learning model effectiveness. There's a recent news about ChatGPT, which indicates that they can predict the stock moves based on headlines accurately. And we think that that's where our projects can be the further application on, and that's our